Thanks again for checking out the Coding Fanatic YouTube channel. Head on over to codingfanatic.com and join our mailing list for weekly updates on Android tutorials, career advice, and more. So once again, head on over to codingfanatic.com and thanks for your support.
Welcome back. So this video is about ultimatums, and if your employer gives you an ultimatum, just leave. So let me give you some context. At one of my last companies I worked for, they started this new system where they were tracking our tickets with they had like a monitor that they set up, and they would put each person's name up and how many tickets they completed for the week. And the idea was that it would help us keep track of where we are, and you can push your neighbor to work harder because they're like, oh, I got 15 tickets. How many did you get? 13? And their neighbor's like, damn, I want to get more tickets than that guy next week. So they're going to work harder, right? And it was supposed to be like a fun game where we encourage each other. Well, I kind of saw through it, and I figured that it wouldn't work as they said it would. I mean, this sounded like a really bad idea and a way to just kind of keep numbers on everyone and keep tabs on us, so they can say, oh, at any time they can say, oh, why aren't you doing as many tickets as John or Harry, you know? So, but I didn't make too much I didn't make a big deal out of it, because I figured, okay, this is just what's going on right now. Now, I did voice my opinion when they brought the idea up, because they've made it sound like they were asking us what we thought. So I said, I don't think this is a good idea. We shouldn't do it. But they were, I mean, come on, it's the management, right? So they do what they wanted to do. They set up the leaderboard, and, you know, hey, we got to work as usual. So over time, they started to pull people into meetings and ask people like, oh, what's going on with this, your tickets this week, you know, last week you had 18, this week you had 12, what's going on, and things like that. And after a while, they started setting like minimum requirements for each week. Like, if you don't meet this metric, then, you know, we're going to have a conversation, and we want you to do this many tickets. Now, the nature of the work that I did often required reaching out to customers to get more information on the tickets that they were submitting, so that we could better assist them. And that was just a regular part of the process. You reach out, customer submits a ticket, you reach out to them, get more information, update your notes, and give them some light information on the work you're doing, so that they know you're doing something. Then you go and you work the ticket, and you update them as you go along. But because they were taking stock of our tickets by week, certain longer term issues weren't seen as, they don't see that some issues take longer than others. So someone they might have like a large scale issue where it's something that could take upwards of 3 to 6 weeks for you to fix. Not even that it's a huge issue in terms of its impact, but just that it will take longer to address, which is fine. It happens. But I don't think that at the time, I don't think management was concerned with that. They were trying to minimize the amount of time that we were spending on each ticket. Like, that was the number one thing, is less time on tickets, more tickets each week, more and more and more. What is a person to do but to just keep working? So after a while, after I'd say about like a month or so, they pulled me aside, and the manager on my team pretty much sat me down and said, hey, you haven't been doing X amount of tickets each week, so here are your options. You can either enter into this contract, sort of like in elementary school when you get in trouble and they make you sign a piece of paper and give like promise that you're going to do X amount of work, or you can resign from your job. It's up to you. So I was a little shocked, because, I mean, imagine going to work every day and doing what you're supposed to do, and then out of the blue, one day your manager just says, hey, you're not doing good enough. So, hey, stop what you're doing. You're not doing good enough. So you can either step it up, shape up, or ship up. And it's like, damn, like, it just came out of nowhere. Now, at the time, I was a little upset. You know, I mean, things weren't the best at the company, and I wasn't like pleased with my job, but I still made an effort to look out for the customers because they're experiencing issues, they don't know how to fix it, and they don't know what's going on. So I was always in it for, like, when it came to them, I was always about it no matter what. But honestly, the work started to become undesirable after a while. Some of the ideas I presented to management didn't, they fell on deaf ears, and it just felt like I was kind of just going through the motions there. But I mean, I still showed up and did what I was supposed to do, even if I didn't have the best attitude about it. Still did it. Over time, I realized that in order for things to get better, I have to get better. And instead of leaning on these perks and freedoms that the job afforded me, it was my goal became to just focus on doing the work as efficiently as possible. So starting the ticket, communicating with the customer, figuring out what the exact problem is, because let's face it, if you've ever worked in any technological field, you know tickets don't always have all, they don't have all the information all the time. So I reach out to the customer, I get the information, I do what I got to do, update them, finish the ticket, and then I come up with ways that I can repeat some of my work in other tickets with other problems. Even if it's not in the same realm, I could still take what I did and reapply it. And that became my strategy. And over time, I'd say I was pretty good. I got way more efficient at my work. And granted, again, I was not doing the amount that they wanted me to, but the quality of my work really vastly improved. I was able to communicate. I better communicated with my team at the time, and I was more abreast of what was going on within the organization, within our teams, and how everyone's work affected each other. So I took a greater stock of what was going on around me. And I found that, you know, it's kind of silly because if I just done that from the start, then this probably wouldn't have been as big a deal to me at the time. But that was then. This is now. Anyway, now I can tell you the story about it so that you can learn something from this. So my manager sits me down, and she gives me this ultimatum, and I resign. If I was putting in all this work before, and they don't see the greater effort and see how I've changed and see how I'm doing better, and they'd rather look at these metrics and numbers to determine my progress, then okay, see ya. Simple. I mean, it's a matter of value, right? And if you value yourself as someone, you know the type of work that you put in, and you value yourself, then you know the kind of work that you're doing. You're the only person who can know. It doesn't matter how many managers or teams or whatever, or cameras or whatever type of stuff they want to do, metrics, leaderboards, you name it. None of that means anything in the face of you and how you look at yourself. That's the number one thing, is how can you look at your work and see rooms for improvement. Granted, like I said, I wasn't perfect. And a lot of when I first came into the company, I really just liked the freedom of being able to do my work how I wanted to, and I I leaned on that. It was nice to not have someone constantly standing around telling me what to do. But once it happened, it was a shocker, especially with the way they did it, because they brought in new management, then brought in a new system, and it was so much at once, and it was frustrating. But even so, I came around, and I realized that, okay, I should just focus on doing my work and doing high quality work. Not to say that I wasn't doing it before, but I wasn't conscious of it. I wasn't doing it consciously, trying to deliver the best work that I could. So, it stunk at the time, but over the years, I realized that it just means that the company, they didn't value my time or value my efforts in the first place. If anyone who has experience in relationships, that if someone gives you an ultimatum in a relationship, then they don't value you as much, because they're saying, well, I don't trust your decision making, so I'm going to put you in a box and give you two options, and based on how you answer, then I will value you, as opposed to looking at the effort and work you've put in over time. So, what does this mean? What's the greatest moral of the story here? Well, a lot of companies are run like elementary schools. You come in, and you have to behave the same way, fall in line with your other classmates, and if you don't, then you get a crocodile or a C for, oh, this is unsatisfactory. You didn't play with the kids the way that other kids are playing. You're not playing the game that we're all the way we're all playing it. So we're gonna have to put you in detention. Oh yeah, you're getting good grades and you're getting high marks over here, but I don't know, you're not really meshing well with other students. So we're gonna have to have a conversation. And here's a contract. And do you promise that you're gonna behave and do better from now on? And legit, this is how they do it. They give you pizza parties and treats, and you make a special dean's list or honor roll whenever you get really high marks. But if you don't, then you get put out of class. But the way I look at it, there's so many schools and so many classes out there, and there's so many different levels that you don't have to worry about any one company or organization and how they manage or how they mismanage their teams. My hope for you is that you learn to value yourself and the work that you put in. Look at yourself honestly. Really ask, did I do my best with this, and how could I do it better next time? You don't have to kill yourself to get the work done, but think of ways that you can improve your processes and improve what you do for your sake. Not just for the company, but think about how it helps you in the long run. When I started improving my processes, then it helped me build like a resilience where even no matter how gritty the work was or how tough it was, I was able to sit down and say, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm okay. What does this ticket require? It's that customer again. And a lot of times people, oh man, it's so and so, and you know how they are. They complain about every little thing. And my mindset was just, okay, it went from groaning at first and being like, oh man, I don't want to work with that customer, to eventually, all right, well, what do we need to do? What are they asking for this time? Okay, let's make note of that. All right, so who can we contact on the team? Is it possible to contact a different person? Maybe another person at the company might have a better perspective and be able to give us more information and help us help them, instead of this one person who we've had contact with for so long. And these are the things that I would do. So now whenever I approach problems, I do it the same way. I just take the emotion out of it and just think, what is the root of the issue and what can we do to solve it? And then you go from there. So that's my employee tip for this week, is if your company gives you an ultimatum, then they don't care about you. So get out of there. And also, doing hard work, just focus on what needs to be done. Take the emotion out of it and focus on what work needs to be done. And then you can complain later when it's done. So, thank you all so much for tuning in. I think I'm going to start mixing some of these videos in along with the project updates and Android tutorials. But I'm your host, Richard Clark, signing out. Head on over to codingfanatic.com and subscribe to the mailing list so you can see updates whenever I post new videos like these and updates on the Coding Fanatic website. And also, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And if you have any questions or anything, feel free, just leave it in the comments. And yeah, I'll get at you later. So thanks everyone. Peace.